Hello and welcome back to the Spider's Web, where we continue our delve through the Deathtrap dungeon. We have one, folks, that we go from the cavern with the 6 metre high idol in the middle of the room to ignore the jewels, and this is from Bremner, and to carry on to passage number 239, and that is what we will do. Not much further down the tunnel you come to a closed door on your left. Putting your ear to the door, you listen intently but hear nothing. If you wish to open the door, turn to 102. If you wish to keep walking north, turn to 307. I will open the door. You enter a room which is small and completely empty. As soon as you are inside, the door slams shut behind you. Suddenly a voice booms out of nowhere, shouting, "Welcome to Deathtrap Dungeon, the ingenious killer labyrinth of my master. Adventurer, I trust you will pay your respects to my master by shouting out his name." So will you shout, "Hail Succumvit," and turn to 133, or should I shout, "Succumvit is a worm," and turn to 251? Well, let's try "Hail Succumvit." Once again the mysterious voice calls out, only this time its tone is full of contempt and derision. "So we have a snivelling weed in our midst, do we?" sneers the voice. "My master has a special gift for you, loathsome creep." Suddenly water starts pouring into the room through a hole in the ceiling. It soon rises above your ankles and there is no apparent way of escape. You wade back to the door. It is firmly locked, but in desperation you try ramming it with your shoulder. Roll 2 dice. If the total is the same as or less than your skill score, turn to 178. If the total is greater than your skill score, turn to 17. Okay, so it needs to be what? Same as or less than my skill score. Well, my skill score, if you remember, is 10. So let's see on rolling 2 dice whether I can get 10. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's less than my skill score. The door cannot withstand the furious battering you're giving it. The centre panel cracks and splinters, enabling you to kick a hole in it large enough for you to squeeze through. Wet but happy to have survived your ordeal, you set off north again. Turn to passage 344. The tunnel twists and turns but keeps steadily north. Ahead you see a thick shaft of blue light streaming down from the ceiling to the floor. It sparkles and shimmers, and you can see images of laughing faces in the light. If you wish to walk through the light, turn to 229. If you would rather walk around the light, turn to 107. I will walk to the light. I'll walk through the light, which is 229. As soon as your head goes under the blue light, you hear the sound of muffled voices. The faces are no longer laughing, but have changed their expressions to ones of despair and anguish. A young girl's sad face hovers in front of you, and she begins to whisper a poem. Transfixed, you listen intently, believing she has a special message for you as she recites. "When corridor doth water meet, do not make a quick retreat. Take a breath and jump deep in, if your trial you hope to win." Memorizing the spirit girl's poem, you step through the shaft of light and quickly head north. Turn to 147. You come to an arched doorway set in the right hand wall of the tunnel. The heavy stone door is closed, but there is an iron latch and a round handle. If you wish to try the door, turn to 168. If instead you wish to continue along the tunnel, turn to 267. I'm nosy, as you know. I'm going to go to 168. Lifting the latch and pushing the heavy stone door open, you find yourself in a large cavern. The light is dim and murky, but as your eyes begin to adjust, you see that the walls are covered in green algae and running with moisture. The floor is strewn with straw. The atmosphere is warm, damp and fetid, and a soft humming sound fills the air. You step gingerly through the straw towards a corner of the cavern where there appears to be a shallow pit. Peering warily into the pit, you are disgusted to see a mass of pale, writhing worms, some as much as half a metre long. Utterly nauseated, you are about to turn away when you notice that their undulating bodies are swarming around a dagger, its point held fast in a crack in the pit floor. The hilt is cased in black leather studded with opals, and the blade is fashioned from a strange reddish black burnished metal that you have never seen before. You long to touch the dagger, but this would mean plunging your hand in among the writhing worms. Do you reach for the dagger, or back away in disgust and leave the cavern? Well, if I reach for the dagger, I turn to passage 94, and if I back away in disgust and leave the cavern, I turn to 267. I'm going to go to 94. Taking a deep breath, you lean over the pit and plunge your forearm into the mass of wriggling worms. They are cold and clammy and feel extremely nasty, but at least they're harmless and you are able to seize the dagger by the hilt. You give it a hard tug and it comes away from the crack in which the tip was embedded. Admiring its beauty and wondering whether it might once have belonged to some luckless contestant, you put the opal-studded dagger firmly in your belt and leave the cavern. As you make your way back to the doorway, the buzzing sound increases in intensity and you look around desperately to discover where it is coming from. Glancing up in the nick of time, you see the huge and grotesque black shape of a giant fly emerging from a recess high up in the cavern wall. As it gets closer, you realise that it is at least 1.5 metres long. Its opaque wings vibrate, making the sickening buzzing noise that you hear, and its 6 black hairy legs are poised to grasp your body. Below its multifaceted eyes is a long shiny black proboscis which darts in and out venomously. You have stolen the giant's fly treasure from her brood of maggots and you must take the consequences. Test your luck. If you're lucky, turn to 39. If you're unlucky, turn to 350. Okay, the procedure for this is roll 2 dice, the number is rolled is equal to or less than my luck score, and I've been successful. As you know, my luck is 11. Knowing my luck, I'll roll 10 now, or 12 now. There we go. That's less than my luck. So let's see where I need to go from here. You manage to evade the outstretched legs of the giant fly. Stepping back, you draw your sword and prepare to fight the hideous insect as it turns to attack you again. The giant fly has a skill of 7, stamina of 8. So I'm using 2 different coloured dice. I'm using blue for me and white for the giant fly. Okay, so I don't know whether you can see that properly. So I've scored 4 plus my skill of 10, which is 14. The stamina of the fly is 8, 10, 13, so I win that one. So the Giant fly loses 2 stamina. Let's go again. I've definitely beat it that time. So that's down again to 4 points of stamina for the fly. Okay, so this time we have, oops, that was 2. Okay, so my skill is 10, 15, 16, 17. The giant fly is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's another 2 points gone with the fly stamina. Now if you remember with the caveman, it started fighting back now. Oops. Okay, so we have a skill of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And my skill is 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. So the giant fly is colouring the walls with its blood. You wipe the vile yellow slime from the blade of your sword and walk quickly to the door, back into the tunnel and head north. Turn to 267. The tunnel ends shortly at a junction. Looking left and right you see a narrow passage disappearing into the dim distance. If you wish to head west, turn to 352. If you wish to go east, turn to 68. I'm going to go to 352. Ahead you hear the sound of rocks being ground and crushed. The noise grows louder and suddenly you realise that the wall on your right is starting to collapse. Terrified, you watch as a large, hideous worm-like creature with a gaping mouth and extraordinarily powerful mandibles slithers through a hole in the wall. Its great jaws continue to crunch the rocks as it turns its head slowly from side to side. Feeling the cool air in the tunnel. It appears to be totally blind but seems to know of your presence. Perhaps sensing the heat of your body, it starts to slither towards you with its mandibles wide apart to attack. If you wish to fight the rock grub, turn to 254. If you would rather run back down the tunnel to the junction to head east, turn to 68. The choice is yours. What would you like me to do? Do you want me to stand and fight? Or exercise the old adage, cowardice is the better form of valour. So do I fight the rock grub and turn to 254, or do I run back down the tunnel to the junction to head east and turn to 68? As I say, the choice is yours. So until then, take care, God bless.